So I want to talk about the waiting to, hold up, the waiting to wed subreddit. I think that every straight woman, any woman that is interested in dating men, needs to be up on that subreddit. It is so full of both so much information, but also the same kind of information that clearly nobody's picking up the patterns of this, because I keep seeing the same situations in different fonts over and over again. So I want to talk about some of the patterns that I see in the subreddit and why I think that everybody should be. First of all, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about drugs on here, but if I ever need I go straight to that subreddit. Is that okay for me to say? It's too late. I said it. We're moving on. Now, why do I think so many people need to be on the subreddit? Because I think that when I say on it, I don't necessarily mean like you got to be like tippity typing your thoughts of your situation, unless you're in the exact same situation and you would like some insight on it. But like, I think that so many, and I didn't realize this until I started picking up the patterns and how often people are posting on that subreddit of people thinking my situation, I'm different than other women on here. Clearly, my man is different. My man is special. He wouldn't treat me the way that all these other men have treated the other women on this subreddit, so I'm going to be getting some different information. Meanwhile, they are typing with their own fingers a story that is as old as the subreddit itself. And I'm just like, if we could just get out of the exceptionalism for like a hot second and read somebody else's stories and read the patterns that I will be discussing in these stories, we wouldn't have to write these stories to begin with. So let's talk about some of the patterns that are within this. But hi, my name is Shayna. For those of you who are new here, I'm a journalist, and on this platform I talk a lot about decentering men and child-free living. If any of that sounds like a vibe, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you think you're subscribed, please double check. Sometimes people get sucked right out of the community, and I don't like that, and I would love for you guys to remain a part of the conversation. For all of the other projects that I'm working on, including a platform that I am co-founding that teaches marginalized people, specifically marginalized women's and femmes, with a specific hyper focus on the Black experience to navigate leaving the United States or just moving abroad in general and all the nuances that go with that. Everything is in the description. Now, let's dive into some of these commonalities. Also, before any of you start saying stuff, today's hair day, all right? You know what? I don't think anybody would actually say anything, but I'm seeing my fuzzies. Shayna, stay focused. A lot of ADHD on this channel, in case you weren't sure. So we're diving straight in. So some of the common themes that I see in all of the posts that are on there is, one, the person writing, who tends to be like 9.7 times out of 10 tends to be the woman in the situation, because a lot of these are also heterosexual relationships where the female partner wants the male partner to marry them, and then the man is like, no. In multiple, anyway, patterns. So one, the writer of the post wants to get married, and they have vocalized the importance of this to their fiance, boyfriend, partner, whatever. They vocalize this. It is a thing that is known. It is a thing that has probably been repeated, and there's been no forward motion. Two, there is an ongoing dismissal of the writer, who once again tends to be the woman. There's an ongoing dismissal of the woman partner's needs, and that can show up as jokes, that could show up as ignoring, that could show up as belittling, that could oftentimes shows up as the dragging of their feet when it comes to, all right, like the ball and chain situation, where it's like, oh my God, fine, I'll marry you. But then there's always a follow-up post that's super interesting to me, where it's like, hey, so my boyfriend of like 16 years is finally proposing to me, but like I feel like I should be more excited than I am. And then they share the story about like how they've been trying to get this man, who very clearly is showing that they don't want to marry you, to want to marry. And I'm like, he doesn't want to, but he's giving you what you wanted, low-key, because he's a coward. But like, we're getting to the cowardly part of this afterwards. That always rears its very, very funny head. But like, there is this ongoing dismissal of the information in part one, where it's like, hey, I want to get married, and then a pushing away of that information in different ways, because that's where like some of the nuances of like different couples show up. But like, It's always a thing. It's always a thing. So next, we have the woman partner compromises and compromises for the sake of the relationship. So as their needs, their want to get married is getting pushed to the side, and dismissed and belittled and all of that, over the course of sometimes months, generally it's at least a year or more, the woman in this is just kind of compromising. It's like, all right, well, we won't get married, but we'll buy a house. We won't get married, but we'll have a kid. We won't get married, but we'll go on all these vacations. We won't get married, but like, I'll go to every family reunion with you. I'll be your plus one at all of your friends' weddings. I will cook and clean, and I'll be the perfect future wife. Or like, I'll compromise. Okay? And they're doing that so that way, ideally, at some point in their minds, the man will change his mind. Meanwhile, which gets to the next point, the entire time, homeboy's chilling. He's chilling. Why? Because he's getting everything that he wants. He doesn't want to be married. He's not married. He wants all the benefits of being in a relationship with you. He's getting all those benefits and more, because now you're compromising and also probably people pleasing. Not you, but you know what I mean. Like, the person writing this is not only compromising, but probably likely people pleasing at the same time. So that way the person will be like, oh, wow, I should really pick this lady, shouldn't I? So I'm like, yeah, of course he's going to be chilling. And he will remain chilling, where is this? Until the woman partner breaks and then demands answers. Now, once again, this varies on, and usually it's at that breaking point that they actually write the post. That's usually when the subreddit, when the post gets posted onto subreddit. When she breaks and then she demands answers, and then that guy inevitably gives an answer. And usually that answer, this is when the man admits that he never wanted marriage, but he was too cowardly to admit it because he loved the benefits of the female partner. I will say, though, that this also looks different depending on how cowardly the partner is, because sometimes, best case scenario, which doesn't happen all that often, but the male partner will be like, no, I don't want to get married, which is direct, which is clear communication. I mean, very late in the game generally, but at least like you have your answer. Most of the times it's not like that. They're just kind of like, oh, well, you know, whatever you want. Or they're just like, well, like you said you wanted to. No, that's also more of like, whatever you want, like you said you wanted to get married. Or they just kind of like start throwing mini temper tantrums and acting weird and acting distant, and which is all their way of saying no, but they can't use their big boy words. And a lot of the times they say, okay, well, they like drag their feet towards a marriage, or they're doing the like I don't wanna. But they still want to remain in a relationship with you. Why? Because they benefit from having a relationship with you. So that's when they're like, oh, you know, maybe we can like work this out, or maybe we don't have to get married, but like what we have is working for us, and da-da-da. And that always comes up. And then here's the kicker. Here's the real like cherry glaze on top of a delicious cake. Sometimes the writer of the post leaves, and then sometimes they don't. Sometimes they really do just stay in that relationship. And we see this happen all the time in real life. Like, it is fascinating to me how it's fascinating, disheartening, but also mostly fascinating how many women just like deny their own truth for the sake of potentially getting some kind of benefit from being with a man that does not want them. Like, it is an ongoing thing that rears its head in so many ways. And I think that every woman that's interested in men should at least peruse that subreddit, so that way you can know what this looks like, because it's the same thing. It's the same thing in different fonts and different shapes and colors and sizes, but it's the same story of a woman really wanting to be picked and a man going, nah. Yeah, I'm gonna put the link to the subreddit below. Definitely peruse whenever you need to. Don't give any hate to these ladies. Clearly they're going through enough as it is. And I think that's all. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Bye.